Greetings, I'm Doc V. Today, one of my students looked at me, young black male, and he had his hair twisted, coming down to his forehead and down to the back of his head. And there were several young men in the class that had the twists, and they had hair. And a lot of the young ladies had long, beautiful hair, and then some of the young men had fades, and then some of them that were different ethnicities had this long flowing curls and just hair all over the place. And I'm teaching the class and I'm looking at all these beautiful different configurations of hair, and then I'm thinking of mine. I'm like, well, and I made a comment. I said, you know, y'all blessed with some wonderful looking hair. And then a young teenager, black male, looked at me and he said, Dr. Shores, he said, I'm never going bald. I'm never going to let my hair look like yours. Why don't you do something? Why don't you get a transplant or do something to let it grow in or something? I just kind of looked at him and I kind of smiled. And I thought about when I was in high school, and a lot of the young men wore afros back in my day. They wore their hair in fros. And a lot of the girls would like to comb the hair and comb the boys' hair and braid it and put it in the cornrows. And I couldn't do that. My hair was so tough, you could probably put a hook in it and hang me by it. I wasn't jealous, but I realized my limitations. So anyway, they came out with this product called blowout cream. And you put it in your hair and the chemicals mix it up and you pick it up, and then boom, I had a fro. And they were calling me tick, tick, boom for a while. But it didn't last. It started coming out and then hair would get rough again, and then sometimes if you put too much chemicals in it, it'd fall out. I said, forget this. Some years later, the wave came out. You cut your hair short and then it would just wave and sit back and wave. And I said, now I'm gonna look good. Let me go on and get some of this wave cream, put it in my hair, cut it short and see what happens. And I remember I was at the college campus and my roommate, Craig, you know, he had his side of the room, I had my side of the room, but our mirrors were right there, kind of, you know, split. And his hair waved up. He had a short hairstyle that was waving. And mine just wouldn't do right. And I bought this Dax wave cream, and he looked in the drawer and he was like, what is this? And he picked it up and I'm like, oh no. And he said, wave cream? And he looked at me and he said, you using this? And I'm trying to play it off, looking around, and he started cracking up. And I said, dog, man. And to this day, years, 20, 30 years later, sometimes it gets brought up when we talk, and he'll mention it. So that didn't work out. So the next style that came in is when Tupac and that show Jake and the Fat Man and The King and I, well, that was way back. But anyway, the bald hairstyle came in, and I was like, now I'm gonna finally be in style. The bald hairstyles coming. I couldn't do the fro. The blowout cream didn't work right. I wouldn't fade. I couldn't get any cool waves in there. No matter how much goop I put in my hair, and no matter how many stockings I wore in my hair, it just didn't happen for me. So I said, now I'm gonna go bald and I'm gonna look good. Guys were sporting the bald cut with a little goatee and a little hair in their face. And what happened? I cut my hair bald and my head is shaped funny. And I'm like, dog, what do you do? What do you do? Now, I was able to grow a nice beard. It used to be black, now it's gray, and it grows, so I can do anything with that. And I think about how I used to think. I see how the kids judge me, and they was like, I'll never let my hair get like that. When I was younger, we would take history courses, and there were some black history courses or general history courses, and there were some black historians. Frederick Douglass, his hair was wild, black and gray, and it was all over the place, and it just shot back. Martin Luther King Jr., he had a nice, neat little cut. James Baldwin, another historian. But the one I'm thinking about was W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois, William Edward Burghardt, the most important black protest leader in the U.S. during the first half of the 20th century. He shared in the creation of the NAACP back in 1909, NAACP in 1909. He was the first African American to earn his PhD from Harvard in 1895. And he was a distinguished black man, and he was doing his thing. And I noticed that the middle of his hair was like gone, and he had his hair on the sides going. And I used to think when I was young, why does he wear his hair jacked up like that? Why don't he grow some hair at the top? Then 5 years went by, 10 years went by, my hairline started going back, disappearing. 15 years went by, 20 years went by, and I thought of W.E.B. Du Bois when I was looking at his picture in the history book, wondering, why is this man's hair jacked up like this? And I realized that it wasn't by choice. There was nothing he can do about it. I mean, now we have, hair transplants and weaves and all this stuff, but I don't want to fool with all that stuff. But back in Du Bois' day, they didn't have that. And his hair just went on back. And I looked at myself one day and I said, W.E.B. Du Bois. And I kind of laughed, and I realized that some things we think about, or some things we envision, or some things we observe when we're young, we don't have an understanding. We're not mature enough. We don't see what's really before us. I saw a man that let his hair go and didn't take care of it, and it was jacked up. And my kids looked at me and they said, well, I'll never let my hair get like that. I'll never let my hair get like that. These kids are 15, 16 years old. And I just look at them and I said, well, some of y'all, let me ask y'all, how does your dad's hair look? Some of you got uncles on your mom's side. How does their hair look? And some of them say, well, my dad just shaved his all off because it won't grow at the top. And another young man said, well, my dad, his hair is standing out the top. My dad is bald, and my dad's got all his hair. And I said, do you think that your dads and uncles are wearing it like that because they want to? I said, sometimes you don't have a choice. And sometimes you have to look at things the way they really are and face them and understand what's happening. If you live long enough, you will gain wisdom and understanding. Somewhere in the Bible, it says that God calls on the young because they're strong, and he calls on the old because they know the way. If you live long enough, your eyes will open up, and things that you saw or things that you observed when you were young, 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, your comprehension of what you are observing or what you observed in the past is going to change. As you grow in wisdom and understanding, things that you saw in the past will mean something different now. And even as I go on into the future, I'll learn and gain knowledge on many different things. Things that I didn't understand when I was young about politics, things I didn't understand about women, and I shouldn't have used that term because I don't think you're ever going to understand a woman totally. Forgive me, y'all, we love you. But you're complicated. But your place, your purpose, why God birthed you and put you here on this earth. As we get older and as we go through our trials and our tests and tribulations, we come to understand that our life here on this earth is temporary. And while we're here, we must discover what our purpose is and what our goals should be aligned with. Because you get one body on this side, you get one chance to maximize your potential and who you are. There's different ways to look at things. There's the natural man, and then there's the spiritual man. The natural man, I'm not going to go through the details, but it's about, it's about money. Protect your assets, move forward, climb that mountain, obtain your self-actualization, self-actualize at the top of Maslow's. And the spiritual man, it should be different. we should plant seeds that will manifest in eternity, because we can't take these bodies and these things with us. Fascinating thing, I'm fascinated by ancient history, Egyptian history, and often I go to YouTube and I'll look at Luxor Temple, Karnak Temple, and I'll see the sculptures and the statues and how the Egyptians looked and how they looked over the statues over in Rome and Italy. And it's fascinating. But here's one thing that I noticed and one thing that I observed. The archaeologists are still digging up artifacts. They're digging up whole boats. They're digging up chairs. They're digging up clothes. They're digging up kings and queens that were buried and wrapped up and mummified and put into gold sarcophagi with diamonds and pearls over it and covered up. And then they've got their belongings spread all out. When Carter discovered King Tut's tomb back in 1910, I believe it was, and they cracked the hole open and they shone the light inside, it was amazing. Things that the boy king enjoyed back 5,000 years ago. He felt that he was going to take it with him. And it is still at our museum over in Cairo. Can't take anything with you. When we come into this world, we come in naked, and we leave, you're going to leave naked. Things, nice to have things. Friends, places to visit, experiences, wonderful. But only what we do for Christ is going to last. So, at one time, I did have a nice little braided hair. It was okay. It wasn't like the pretty boys, but it was okay. And now it's gone or doing its own thing. But my wisdom and my knowledge and my appreciation and love for life and love for people, that changed and that grew. Some people are stuck. They're stuck on things in this world, things on this earth, things that we can get, things we can obtain. But we must be careful, we must keep balance, because we brought nothing into this world and we can't take anything out. Your health, your relationships, your family, and your purpose in God and why He put you on this earth. That's what's important. I'm Doc V. I'll see you next time.